The midterm elections are in less than 3 months. This includes South Carolina's 6th congressional district, currently represented by our guest, House Majority Whip James Clyburn. Sir, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
I have to ask you, as the incumbent to this seat, a seat that you've held for 30 years, what is your message to voters in terms of the high 24% poverty rate in your district, inflation that is directly affecting your citizens, the high gas prices that we've had since the mid-aughts? What is your plan to make things better in your district if you should get reelected in November?
Well, let me be clear about this. I hear these figures thrown around all the time. I've been hearing them since I was a child, and I'm now 82 years old. This congressional district is drawn by the state legislature. They can decide how the district is demographically made up. And if you look at the district today, as opposed to what it was last year this time, the figures that you've just mentioned are not quite true, because the new district has drawn in the entire peninsula of Charleston.
But now it includes West Ashley, I believe.
So the fact of the matter is, what we try to do is I look at the state of South Carolina and see what I can do to work with the state legislature, the governor, and other members in our delegation to improve the state of South Carolina. Focusing on the congressional district politicizes this in such a way, and we talk about it all the time. The legislature can gerrymander and make the district anything they want it to be. So that's not the way you respond to the people of South Carolina. You do it looking at the needs of the state.
Well, Congressman, I have to ask you, because to redistrict an area, not to necessarily dilute the area with other areas that may be a little bit more prosperous, but how are you going to address things such as what your opponent, Republican candidate Duke Buckner, remarked as poor education, not enough financial opportunity, things like that are still within your district, that have been a part of your district for the last 30 years?
Once again, I'm going to reply to you again. That's poppycock. I deal with the state of South Carolina and have been dealing with the state since my days in the governor's office. Now, the state of South Carolina has 8 historically black colleges and universities. I just spent yesterday on the campus of one of them. I'll be on Clyburn campus next week. I work with those schools trying to help them help the students that come to them. They come from all over the state. 7 of those 8 schools are in my congressional district.
Critics of the recently signed Inflation Reduction Act say that its title is merely a marketing tool for the $750 billion climate bill that will do little to nothing to reduce inflation. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that too is a bunch of foolishness. If you think that the parts of this bill that allows Medicare to negotiate for drug prices is nothing but a marketing tool. My late wife spent 30 years battling diabetes, and I saw her monthly bill, sometimes $800 a month for insulin, sometimes $1,200 a month for insulin. She was fine because she had insurance, but a lot of her friends and our neighbors do not have insurance. This bill caps insulin for senior citizens at $35 a month. Is that a marketing tool? Come on.
That's one small component of it, though. Now, let me ask you this, Congressman. Do you think that we're in a recession?
No, I don't. And the numbers don't say that we are. And the experts say that we're not. So why would we allow the politicians to have their way?
Well, I think a lot of people would disagree with that notion, that they do believe that we're in a recession, and that numbers actually do show that we are currently in a recession. But moving on, people see you as pardon?
Where are you getting that from?
From many sources, from people in your own party, actually, sir.
No, my party will not determine what a recession is. A recession is made up of the numbers that come from our economy. We just created record numbers of jobs in the last quarter, last month, and that's not a recession. And everybody's saying it should put a stop to this talk about recessions. It's not a recession. You just mentioned gasoline prices. Quite frankly, we've just had, 15, I forgot how many weeks of a reduction in gasoline taxes for the first time in a year.
But it's still far higher than it was several years ago.
The cost of gasoline is now under $4 for the first time in 6 months. Does that sound like it's going up?
It's way higher than it was several years ago, but people see you as a kingmaker. People see you as a kingmaker, and they say that if it wasn't for your endorsement of President Joe Biden, that he wouldn't have been elected here in South Carolina. Do you think he should run again?
That's up to him.
Would you support him if he ran again?
I pass no opinion on that at all.
Questions have focused on his cognitive condition, and voters, observers, your peers in your Democratic Party, they say that they have watched gaffe after gaffe, and that he is just not mentally apt or capable to continue this particular term or run again. Do you find that there's nobility in stepping down potentially, or to simply not run in 2024?
I find it's kind of interesting, but the people who say that look at 45, Donald Trump, and if you cannot see that he is mentally incapacitated, then you don't see very well. So this whole notion of who is or is not fit is in the eyes of the beholder.
All right, sir. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Congressman Jim Clyburn, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
We're back after this.